Ukrainian drones are hitting Russia right where it hurts, and Russia is engaging in some more creative nonfiction and maybe even actually listening to the chef who thinks he's a military commander. We're going to break down all of it right now. I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is October 30th, 2022. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Oh, but real quick, guys, before we get too far into it, no veteran creator in history has ever gone from 100,000 to 1 million subscribers in a year. But if you guys can hit that subscribe button, I think I can be the first to do it. And certainly I'm trying to put out good content and share my info with you guys. Okay, so in terms of the tactical map, what's different? Well, the only change has actually been, let's see if we can find it here, just a smidge south of Donetsk, the village of Vodane, Vodane. You can see Vodane here. And what's interesting to me is, of course, it's near Pisky, and we've discussed this at some length, the need to secure Donetsk airport. Russia needs it not just as a symbolic victory, right? What kind of capital city of your independent republic, or excuse me, Russian province doesn't have a functioning airport? But more importantly, it's very easy to get an airport operational for military aircraft, right? Even if it doesn't have a control tower and a Sbarro in the terminal, you know, if you can get some flat turf relatively clear of debris, you can start to bring in military aircraft. But you need a real big perimeter to ensure that it won't be hit with mortar fire. And right now, they have a lot of work ahead of them. They've advanced only about 1 kilometer, but it is progress by the DNR forces. And at this point, I think Russia is going to be hooting and hollering about any progress it makes, despite the obvious holes in its strategy, especially the loss of significant amounts of territory in the north. But more interesting than that is that there's been quite a bit of changes. First and foremost, we'll talk about the fact that the Central Military District, this is one of the theater commanders of this war, Colonel Laplin, has been relieved of his position, which is interesting because it comes shortly after Prigozhin, the head of and financier for Wagner Group, began to criticize him very openly and very loudly. Again, why we're taking advice from someone who owns a catering company on military matters is still beyond me. But while it can't be independently confirmed, reports have seem to indicate that Laplin has been relieved of at least part of his major commands. One Wagner-affiliated mill blogger said Laplin lost his position due to his failure to deploy and organize mobilized men in his zone of responsibility. And it seems to be correct that we know newly mobilized troops have been used as basically cannon fodder under Laplin's command. But, of course, some other Russian outlets are saying Laplin is taking a 3-week-long medical leave, according to an unnamed Russian MOD source. What's the reality? The reality is this dude was probably kicked out, and it's probably a sign of Prigozhin's growing influence inside the Kremlin. Now, let's talk about some more fun story time with Uncle Vlad. First off, you remember how it was the big bad CIA that blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Well, Russia now says it was British Navy personnel. Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Of course, London says no. As always, we're using ground.news. It's the basically best way to see through some of all the misinformation and disinformation here. Interestingly enough, you can see left-leaning sources, right-leaning sources, and center sources are all reporting the exact same thing, sort of with different levels of skepticism, right? Here, UK rejects Russia's claim that it was involved in Nord Stream explosions. But when you look at kind of the right-leaning reporting, you can see it gives Russia a little more credence. Russia says UK Navy blew up Nord Stream pipeline. Here's one that just opens with peddling false claims. But this is really, I think, indicative of just sort of Russia's efforts and Russia's failing efforts to control the information space. Let's see. Alleges British military specialist helped Ukraine plan a drone. Oh, sorry. Russia is also saying that the British Navy helped Ukraine plan Moscow's attack on the Black Sea Fleet, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Yeah, right. Just says, let's see, took part in the planning of this terrorist attack and the terror attack that blew up the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines. Okay, guys, sure you did. Sure you did, big guy. But the other major story is that, well, Ukraine has launched sounds like what we would call a combined arms drone attack on Russia's Black Sea fleet. Let's see if we can find this. There's actually some footage. There's actually quite a bit of footage out there. Let's see if we can get it here. Yeah. So the reporting is that Russia or Ukraine actually used what are called surface drones. These are basically unmanned vessels, small unmanned vessels, drive up and strike larger warships, and they combine that with aerial drones, right? So you had 6, 8, 10 of these drones functioning as basically torpedoes and missiles, and attacking these warships. There's some rumors that this this warship that we're seeing right here, let's actually make this a little bigger. You can see it's fast approaching this ship, getting closer and closer. What's interesting is this warship is capable of launching cruise missiles. So this was actually seen. There you go. They see one drone appears to get close enough to touch the ship. Looks like more drone footage from a different angle, trying to scan, looking for its target. But the ship that was attacked primarily, I think it's called a Grigorovich class cruiser, can actually launch cruise missiles. So this is probably for Ukraine a way of striking back against these vessels. There's footage of something being hit. A way of striking back at these Russian cruise missile platforms, right? And a way of mitigating the threat of cruise missiles to their own country. But of course, Russia is calling it an unbelievable attack, unthinkable, and I think they called it a terror attack. Obviously, attacking legitimate military targets is not the same thing as a terror attack. Interesting. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so this looks like footage of one of these surface drones moving along and attempting to engage a warship here. And you can see there's some sort of counter drone fire, right? And it looks like maybe they are successful in stopping it. Yeah, it looks like somehow the engine's damaged. Right, there's another one darting around. It's really interesting to see the first-person perspective of these naval drones in operation. Like we talked about, only takes one to succeed, and that's what makes these so dangerous, right? Very cost-effective weapons, small drones taking out giant cruise ships. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining me on this one. If you want access to uncensored combat footage, the kind that YouTube will not let me show you, I do breakdowns of all of that on my Patreon. Link is in the description. And thanks again to Ground News, as always, for being such a good source of information. The link to them is also in the description.